Morning, everybody. Got it. Oh, that's interesting. Jeff, I never remember seeing the thing where you have to click off of the.
Yeah,
that's something new.
Fairly recent.
They notify everybody now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's good.
No
Well, good morning,
surprise.
everybody.
Yeah.
Bruce Bortner, the Albuquerque Club Del Sol, and as I mentioned, I've been associated with RLI ever since we started it back in 2010, and previous president of my club, and previous district membership chair and district chair for RLI. So, and district trainer for 2 years. So I'm pleased to get things started with my leadership in Rotary. If you're following along in your book, I think it's probably page 4. And what I'd like to do, Jeff, if you'll bring up the first page on page 4, I guess it is. There we go. And that's interesting. Let's see. Oh, okay. I was just wondering what all those diamonds are there that are not showing. Those are links. So what I'm going to do is kind of take you real quickly through this front page here, and up at the top under my leadership in Rotary, it says right there, as a Rotarian, I am by definition a leader. Okay, we are going to be focusing more, on the leadership aspect as it might apply to someone in the leadership position in your club. But the point here is that we're all leaders, and I wanted to share with you. We were doing I think it was last year. It was sometime during COVID, doing an online training with, and we had invited one of the other districts to join us, and a member of that district was adamant. She says, I didn't join Rotary to be a club president. I just came to do good. I want to do good in the world and all that. And she was really, set on that. And the point that we all wanted to make with her was that that's fine. And but just by joining Rotary and by wanting to give back to the whoever needs help, that makes you a leader. Now we're going to be focusing a little bit more on leadership as it applies to perhaps leadership within the club, anything from the club president on down. But we're all leaders, and we are by definition because we joined to help others. Okay, so you've made that step forward, and if we look at the session goals. We're going to take a look at the some characteristics of leadership, and then why do people volunteer? What motivates them to do that? We'll talk about that, not just in any type of civic organization, not just Rotary. Then we'll talk about our own leadership styles, and I've got a number of leadership styles that we'll discuss. There's also available to you which you can get, and little dots over here where it talks inserts and online materials. The black dot means it's available online. Then there's an article. If you have the box there, the rectangle next to it, that means that there's an article there, and you get to that article using the link, which is blanked out here for some reason. I'm not sure, but you have it on your book.
Yeah, I was going to mention, because I didn't see that before just now, because I was looking at other sections, but sometimes if you open up a PDF file and a font is not recognized, it'll just generate characters.
Yeah.
So the version that Dan sent out to all of you, hopefully when you open it, you're not seeing the question marks with the diamonds, you're seeing the actual links. That's the only thing I can think of.
Right, and the same thing underneath there where it says all session materials are also available. There's no link there.
Right.
Yeah, but that's a RLI, RLIfiles.com. And again, you have it in your book. Okay, so this is kind of like the base from which we're going to be talking. Again, very useful for club presidents, but the information that you'll receive in this lesson and in all the lessons within RLI are useful for any member of the club, especially for new members who are trying to learn more about Rotary, for people that have been Rotary for a while and are looking for a leadership position, or just if you want to know more about what's going on. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to talk about, well, before we get down to our session topics, I'd like to hear from you guys. And again, primarily, I want to hear from the participants, not necessarily the facilitators, unless no one else gives me any information. But I'd like to hear what you think. What's your view as far as what is the definition of leadership? What is leadership? How would you define it? Raise your hand. Does everybody know how to raise your hand on?
Well, I also stopped sharing if that's okay until.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I have to do that. So raise your hand if you would like to just tell me, what do you think a leader is? What is the definition of leadership? What is your definition of leadership? Bianca. You'll have to unmute, Bianca.
Yep. Okay. So leadership is, in my opinion, hopefully a group of several people who can excite the rest of the group and keep them informed and hopefully encourage them to participate.
Okay.
Is that?
Keep them informed. And remember, we're looking for a definition. And that's pretty close. Okay. Monica.
So a leader, in my view, is a person that knows how to motivate others and guide them, but not really not for sure is not what is not is micromanagement. So
Okay.
it's a person motivates and guides to a goal.
Okay. Motivates and guides. I like that. Elena.
Oh, I really liked Monica's. I think a leader is someone who leads by example. So if you're not walking the walk, I don't think that you can expect others to do what you're asking them to do.
Yeah. Okay. And remember, we're looking for a little bit more. It's not just what a leader is, but what is the definition of leadership? And we're getting there. Anybody else?
I would say like everything everybody's been saying, but also service. I think, a leader serves their, everybody around them.
Okay. Thanks, James. One more. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, by the way. Donna. And when you're done, you can take your hand down unless you want to say something else. So Donna, go ahead. What's your definition of leadership?
Definition of leadership to me is someone or an entity that can inspire me to do more in the community, inspire me to volunteer, get active, and just walk the walk. Okay,
very good. Those are all good, good descriptions. The one that I like, and I can't remember where I picked this up. By the way, I spent 30 years in the U.S. Air Force before I retired a number of year ago and started working with Rotary. And actually, I was with Rotary when I was still on active duty, which was kind of cool as a member of the Del Sol Club. But at any rate, what I heard, or the definition of leadership that I like is it's very simple, and that is getting things done through people. Okay. John, did you want to add something?
Well, a leader wants everybody to succeed. It's not about the leader. It's about the group.
Yeah. And thank you, John. And so what I was looking, where I was headed is, what do leaders do? Leaders get things done. Okay. And you've probably seen that in your club. Leaders get things done. How? By working with the people in the club. Okay. And motivating them. All the things you guys said. getting them interested, getting them motivated, and that's a fairly simple definition. I like it. There's no one definition, I think, that fits all situations, but I'll just throw that out for you guys. So for our first topic then, I'd like to hear from you, and this is something that I was always interested in, and as far as as what people see and how they reflect on this. But what is the difference between leadership in, say, a business versus leadership in Rotary? What's the difference? Monica.
Well, the difference is that the Rotary is specifically purposed to help the community, and it's not focused on gaining and profiting from it. And business is for profit.
Okay, business for profit. So what's the link there? You're headed in the exactly direction that I was thinking. Bianca.
Sorry.
You're muted. There we
Yeah,
go.
I got it. So I think a leadership in a volunteer organization, you get people excited, you get them on board to do what you're trying to accomplish. A leader in a business environment, it's a little bit more, the employees feel more of an obligation. They may not be as excited as you to get behind a particular task or something like that, that there's more of an obligation. There's more of a, oh, well, I have to do this kind of thing.
Okay, I like that. Anyone else want to add anything? What's the difference between leadership in a business and Rotary? Hollis.
I think the difference, there's probably more similarities than difference, but I think the outcomes are different. And I think in a business, you're going to assume that you have ideally a full complement of skills to accomplish your desired outcome. I think in Rotary, you have similar skills, but you have to spend a lot more time identifying who can do what.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Jesse, I cut you out there. What did you want to add something?
Oh, it's just, I like the two terms, carrot and a stick. In Rotary, we have no sticks. We only have carrots.
Yeah, okay, that's good. And yeah, because what I was looking for, or among those are all good, good descriptions of the difference between, Rotary, leadership in Rotary, and leadership in business. I look at it like Jesse was saying, the carrot and the stick. It's how do you motivate? How do you motivate people? You motivate them differently in a business than you do, say, in Rotary. Okay.
Right.
And how do we motivate people in Rotary? We can't pay them, right? Some people are motivated by pay, but not real. Not everybody is in the business world. But that's something we don't do in Rotary. So how do we motivate people in Rotary? Ooh, that's a good one. Go ahead, Hollis. Your hand's still up.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I will respond when we take the hand down. I think because I work with a lot of volunteers in a museum setting, you have to figure out the coin that people are paid in. So you're not giving somebody a salary, but somebody's going to be motivated or be engaged if you've got a project that the vast majority of people are excited about. Some people are going to be interested in the social aspects. Some people are going to take the intrinsic value of what they're doing and get excited about that. But you're going to have a range of things that are going to get people involved. And I think we go back to Rotary as part of the fellowship. We express a desire to be with one another, to work together to a common good. And I think you reinforce that in praise.
Ah, okay. That's a key point. Praise. Okay. Recognition. Donna.
That's just what I was going to say. It truly is just a recognition and honoring someone's efforts. And I think it really helps them to volunteer more and just be more involved.
Very good. Hey, Reg, I saw your hand up there.
Yeah, motivating people to solve a problem. And all we're talking, everything is a problem when you start with it, but motivation to solve a problem is ownership in the solution. And you have to get them excited, and you can't give them the solution. They have to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
To be excited.
Good. All right, we're going to move along. The next thing I want to, the next area that we're going to cover is, now we've talked about leadership, but there are certain characteristics, I think, and what I want to do from this is, Jeff, can you be my scribe on this and record what we come up with? Is that possible?
Give me 1 minute.
All right, leadership. Okay, now I want to hear from you. What are the characteristics of a good leader? Okay, what do you think, or which characteristics and which characteristics do you think are most important? And it's going to be harder for me to see with that up there. I tell you what.
The modern leader requires empathy.
Okay, James, thank you. Empathy, I like that.
Mhm.
Anyone
Good
else?
listener.
I'm sorry?
A good listener.
Good
Good
listener.
listener.
That's funny. You said good listener, and I said, I'm sorry. That's pretty ironic.
Would you say that again? I wasn't listening. Okay, what else we got?
Good listener.
Role model.
Role model. Thank you, Jesse. Be a role model. Empathy. Good leader. Good listener. We're getting
Facilitator.
there. John Morrison.
One who's not in it for themselves.
Not in it for themselves.
Player. Team player.
Okay, thanks again, Monica. Team player. What other characteristics do we have out there?
Patience.
Reg. Reg, your hand's still up. There we go. Hollis?
I had just said patience.
Patience. Okay,
Competence.
very good. Anyone else?
Competent.
Oh, competence, that helps.
Well, organized,
Organized. These are all good.
or at least have somebody
Has
on
a
your
big-
team that's organized.
Thanks, Bianca.
Yes.
Able to meet other different groups' needs. Everybody in the club doesn't have the same need, so you have to be able to adapt yourself to address certain groups in a positive way also.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Tom.
See the big picture, or is a strategist. I think big
Strategist.
picture.
Okay, Elena.
Oh, George was saying exactly what I was thinking, and mine is flexibility.
Ooh, flexibility. Let's roll. We got to roll with punches. Donna.
Ethical.
Oh,
Aha.
ethical. Ooh, let's do. Got all kinds of good things here. Let's get a couple more and then we'll move on. We probably are exhausting the list here. Anyone else? Well, this is all good. All right. Very good. Okay. Thank you. And we can switch back. Thank you very much for that. Now, leadership, we've all seen different leaders. If you've been in Rotary for a long time, you've had the opportunity to see a new leader every year. And leadership itself can differ based on culture and generation. It also can differ based on whether or not you're in a business or whether or not you're in a Rotary club or the type of business that you're in. So what we want to do now is talk about leadership styles. And I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because I do want to have a breakout session for you here in a few minutes. And that is, there's different, and in your book, it talks about 5 different leadership styles. And I'm just going to quickly go through these. Participative, and you've probably will recognize these. A participative leader seeks to involve other people. In other words, when a decision has to be made, and by the way, leadership is almost defined by how people make decisions. Okay, that's what leadership really comes into play when there's decision making. That's same in the 4-way test, right? If you have to make a decision. A participative leader is one that is going to involve when they're going to seek input. And if they're really smart, they'll find a way to take what they get and give credit for that. The opposite of a participative leader is an autocratic. Anybody ever, just raise your hand, anybody ever had to work for or had in their club an autocratic leader that made all the decisions themselves and never bothered to ask for input? I see a couple of people nodding their heads, okay? So I'm a big fan of participative leadership. You get people involved and now you have buy-in. They will buy in. If they're involved in the decision, they're probably going to buy into to what's ever going to happen. So participative, very important. Situational leadership. This is something that was developed by a gentleman by the name of Paul Hersey. I had the opportunity to meet him when I was in the Air Force teaching at one of the Air Force professional development schools. And Paul Hersey developed the situational leadership model, which basically says that your leadership style needs to change as your subordinates, or the people that you're at, or the people that work for you, whether it be in a club or whether it be as in a job, but their situation changes as they grow. Okay, and your style needs to change with it, and that means that when somebody you have somebody brand new to the club, you want to get them involved, you give them a task to do, but they don't know how to do it yet. So you're going to be, you or someone on your team is going to be working with them, because at this point in time, they're not very competent. They're very low in competence, but they are very committed. Please give me something to do. I want to help. I want to be part of the team, but they don't know what they're doing yet. So, so at that point, we're very task oriented. We're giving them a lot of information, telling them how to do it. But then they move out of it. They move from that stage to another stage where, and this is not true of everybody, but typically what happens is, well, after this initial excitement about taking on a new task, all of a sudden they realize this is tougher than I thought, and they begin to lose their commitment. There you have to come, edge them along, saying, hey, you're doing great. You need to give them, support until they get to a moderate competence level where you can start to back off. And finally, they become fully committed and high competence. And so all Hersey was saying is that your leadership style needs to change based on these situational factors. Hersey sold his situational leadership model to Ken Blanchard. Probably many of you have heard of him. And and I think Paul's probably passed away by now, since I met him 30 or 40 years ago. Anyway, so that's situational leadership. Your leadership style will change based on the situation that your subordinates are in. Transactional is another one, and basically what we're saying here is that there are hierarchical structures of reward available. Transactional means, if you do this for me, you'll be at this level, and you'll get a certain kind of reward. If you move on to the next level, there's another type of reward. So it's kind of like dangling a carrot, and that carrot changes as they move up the ladder. Transformational is the other one. If you're following along in your book, a transformational leader leads through inspiration, sharing their energy, enthusiasm. Here's where I like to talk about a vision. Okay, one of the leadership basics is your leader should have a vision. Okay, and this is where it comes in transformational. We're trying to inspire the people to get things done. So, so not only a vision, get everybody involved in the vision. Listen to what your people have to say about what you want to do. Try to employ that as best you can. Okay, what you want to do with transformational is you're trying to inspire them. Okay. Finally, there's what we call servant leadership, and servant simply means serving others rather than being served. I remember I went on a trip one time to learn about these sort of things. And the person that put that thing on, when we sat down for dinner, that the leader, the person that invited us to join him and learn about this sort of stuff, was out there serving coffee. Okay. And as an example of servant leadership, do things for others, step up and do things, even though, you're in charge, but you step up and you're going to serve others rather than being served yourself. So real quickly, do any of these styles fit any of you? Raise your hand, if you will, or just because I can only see you. Do any of these styles fit you, or have you had an opportunity to practice any of these styles?
A little bit of several.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Say that again, Jesse.
A little bit of several styles.
Okay. Or yep, absolutely. You adapt, right, to the situation. One style may not fit every situation. Okay.
We used to do the Myers-Briggs a lot.
Yeah.
And, the people look at it, simplifying it, autocratic or democratic leadership. And those that could change their leadership style, the autocrats always interpreted as wishy-washy. And the democratic leaders were interpreted as manipulative. And yet, as we've looked at and developed in our understanding of leadership, those are the skills and styles that have come to the forefront as the most effective.
Very good. Tom?
When we travel as governors, you adapt to each club, your speech, and you learn how each club is perceived, what they want you to do. And so it's not wishy-washy, it's meeting the needs of your members.
Right.
Great. Meet the needs of the members.
I would take a stab that as a district governor, isn't a key model inspirational?
Right. Inspirational. I like that. Okay.
Dan,
anyone else? Which style do you think best represents you? I want to hear from the participants and not so much from our team members here. Anybody? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Hallis.
I think I agree with I can't remember if it was the first speaker about having a little bit of all of those characteristics. It's interesting to me because I see.
Okay. James, I'll come to you next. Hollis is speaking right now, so let's let her go do her thing, and then I'll be right back with you.
So I think that I also see a little bit of fashion in all of these. If you look at job applications, they all want a transformational leader, or they all want, somebody that is going to be inspiring. But when you get into an actual position of leadership, you find that might start you off, but you actually need to be somewhat more of a servant leader in order to accomplish a joint goal. So I think one of the things that I found is that a leader, a modern leader, somebody had said, probably has to find out what's going to get the group inspired to begin with, and then pick among a couple other typical styles in order to keep the momentum or the sense of urgency to accomplish what you set out to do.
Okay. Thank you. Now, James, what have you got? Or maybe James really wasn't. There we go.
Oh, I very much agree with what Hollis was saying. I mean, kind of combining them all and how they relate to, not just situational, but, there's a chance to motivate. There's, what it really takes for you to really execute on a vision and produce results, really depends on your audience. at that time.
Okay.
So it
Absolutely.
definitely
In other words,
changes.
your leadership style is going to change based on the situation. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Can leaders be born, or are good leaders born, or can they be taught? What do you think? Very
Yes.
quickly.
I hope they can be taught.
Yes.
Because that's why
I
I'm
hope so
here.
too. And
Both.
certainly RLI believes that. There are certain qualities a person brings to leadership that can be taught. And yeah, I think some of it depends on the personality. But generally speaking, I think so. I think they can be taught. Now, here's what I like to do. I want to break you up, and we don't need as many rooms. I think we only have, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm looking at only about 7, 8. I'm only looking at about 10 participants here. Is that right, Jeff? When you're pretty much, do we only need 2 rooms?
Well, I mean, we still have 20 people. It's just that a number of them
Well,
are
they're
the leaders.
yeah, but most of them are okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's split up into 4 groups then. We're going to split you into 4 groups. You're going to have 10 minutes. And what I want you to do is, from your own club experiences, describe the best club presidents that you've had, not by name. I want to know what were their attributes. What did you, and for those of you who are new members who have been in Rotary less than a year, you probably haven't had the opportunity to see more than one leader in your club. What I would like for you to say, to give us, is what do you expect of your club president? As a new member, what are you expecting of your club president in terms of leadership? Okay, so we're going to give you about 10 minutes to discuss this. Please identify someone in your group to be a scribe and to report back. Okay, and with that, Jeff, if you'll go ahead and split us up again, one more time. I want to know from your own experiences, describe the best club presidents that you've had, or what you expect to your club president to do if you're a new member, less than a year or less.
Okay, so before I split the rooms, what I've got is Bruce will lead the room 1.
Okay.
Dan, if you will lead room 2.
Okay.
Jesse, if you would lead room 3. And then Dick, I will be joining you. And I don't know if Dick's monitor is also Dick, but I will join Dick Jones and maybe Dick's monitor in room 4. Does that work for everyone?
Okay, that'll work.
All right, here we go. So Dick, are you okay facilitating this? The only reason is because I may have to move people around if they're not in breakout rooms or things like that. Are you okay kind of leading this, and I'll kind of support as I can? You're on mute. And I think when you go to breakout rooms, it kind of defaults to a mute.
We don't have very many in the group except Mike and Elena, but we'll do it. Yeah.
I didn't know what Dick's monitor was, but it was a separate login. So this one has one less than the others.
It's where I watch everything to make sure it's happening.
Got it.
In real time.
Okay.
All right. Well, Elena, Mike, welcome to room 4. And I guess our assignment is to talk about leaders that we've had in our Rotary Club and how they've inspired us, or what leadership style they used. So, Jeff, how long do we have here? I didn't hear.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.
And I'll be able to help out. It looks like everyone is in their room, so I can participate as well.
Okay, well, Mike, Elena, do either one of you have an example that you would like to share with us today?
Well, I'm still relatively new, learning what, being a member and learning what Rotary is. I haven't been exposed to much of it just yet, of what actually goes on.
Okay. Elena, any comments?
Yeah, I'm kind of similar to Mike. Well, I've had 3 different presidents in my Rotary Club so far. And I think the quality that I most enjoyed was just, keeping us active. I think a lot of times it's hard to take on that role of president because you don't have enough time to really devote to each person to try to engage them and keep them active and coming to meetings and doing the service projects. So for me, that's a really great leadership quality, to keep everybody engaged and motivated, inspired, and really to appreciate every single member of the club and what they can bring, so not just like assigning all of the projects to one person, but to really try to engage everybody in the whole club.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have any leaders outside of Rotary that you think have been particularly inspiring?
Well, as an Army officer, some of my commanders have been more inspiring than others. I work at the university, or the almost brand new community college here in Carlsbad. We're moving from New Mexico State University, Carlsbad, to Southeast New Mexico College, and I've seen some very good leaders here in this transition.
And what made them, in your opinion, good leaders?
Well, they are a good leader. They're very try to be, because we're a state agency, very transparent in what's going on. In fact, we got an email yesterday that was actually, I won't say troop driven. I want to go back to my Army standards, but employee driven, to keep us informed of what is going on, because people get so focused in what they know to do. So I've seen a change in my leadership to move to meet the needs of the employees. So that's great.
Dick?
How about you, Elena? Anything outside of your Rotary experience as far as leadership that has something that you would like to emulate as club president?
That's, it's so funny that you say that, because I'm very anxious about, anxious and like kind of uneasy way about becoming president, because I've held different leadership roles, but nothing like this. And so I mostly just really want to be on the ground level with everybody and let them know that I'm there to support them and their vision of the club. But I've never really felt comfortable in scenarios where leaders just decide, oh, this is what we're doing, step in line or you're out. And so I definitely don't want to model that form of leadership at all. I don't really feel like that's leadership. But trying to find, some sort of balance between, leading all these different folks, because I'm also a younger person. And so I think also that idea of like leading people who are my elder, like with all, like I really respect everybody in our club, and I really want to make sure that, their voices are being heard, but I also have that acknowledgement that, we're from different generations, and sometimes we want different things and don't necessarily communicate things in the same way or view things in the same way. So really trying to consolidate our visions and, making it our club and not just my club or not just their club, but everybody's club.
I heard some very powerful words in your statement there that if you just remember them and use them when you are president, I don't think you'll have any problem at all. Communication for one, consensus building. Those are keeping everyone informed. And as Mike said, that's been one of the things that he's appreciated in Carlsbad. But really, I think a lot of times we feel we get too much information, but we have to have the ability to determine what information is needed and useful, and share that information, but keeping everyone informed as to what's going on in the overall process. And the respect of the age difference is a big boost in a leadership skill, because there's a lot of old guys in Rotary like me, and I work very, very hard, and I hope most of the other guys do, is, not saying, well, we've always done it that way. Those are words that I think should be outlawed, but I think you'll have a very good year, and I think your ideas and your vision for your club will be great. And again, which club did you say you're in?
Yeah, I'm in the Socorro Rotary Club.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been in for 3 years, and I was a youth exchange student through our club, and I grew up in this community, so I feel really strongly about being involved in the community and being involved in Rotary. And so I'm just really proud. Like, I think mostly that's what it comes down to, just like, wow, that's so cool that these people believe in me to be their club president. It's like such an honor, and I just want to do right by everybody.
I admire you, and I think you will certainly enjoy the experience. So Jeff, do you have anything to offer this morning?
I do. And it's not a president, but it is definitely a Rotary leadership role. So let's see, Elena, how long have you been in Rotary?
I've been in Rotary for 3 years now.
3 years. And Mike, it's your first year.
Yes, sir.
And when did you join?
They're right in the middle of the COVID pandemic. So that was a unique experience joining a club.
Right. But so how many months ago, roughly?
Oh, well, I want to go back to, let's say, April.
Okay. So the person that stands out to me, Bob Roush, our current governor, has been governor for a couple months. So far so good, but I wouldn't want to say anything other than I think he's doing a great job so far. But our governor last year, Sonny, did a tremendous job during very difficult circumstances. And because she was a district governor, she had to basically manage the affairs of the district in the midst of COVID, which is a unique attribute beyond all the things that Bruce talked about. I mean, all those attributes are great, but in the middle of a pandemic, it's almost like all of them have to be elevated even more. And I couldn't imagine anyone doing a better job of keeping our district intact, focused, engaged, which is really hard on Zoom, than Sonny. And it would have been nice if we didn't have a pandemic, but during that year, she was just absolutely outstanding. I could not speak any more highly of how well she did in that role during a very difficult time.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. It is interesting to see how our leadership styles evolve when we come into these roles. And I can see myself in many of the roles that have been described this morning, moving from a business world where you say something, it happens, to a servant leader where you're the one that's out there serving the coffee, or you're setting the table and getting the equipment and getting the flags and the banners in place, or you're the one that's digging the ditch to put the water pipe through. So it is a variety of roles, and I think to be aware of the different styles and what you need at that time is the proper role for you. So
if I can interrupt, we're going to close the rooms. Who wants to present from our group?
I wish I could. I'm going to take my daughter to a soccer game, and so I probably will not be the best person to present that information. We're about to leave the house, and I'm the snack mom today.
Okay.
Well, I feel like I'm in the Army again. Everybody lined up and stepped backwards, and I'm sticking out front. So
you're okay with that, Mike?
That's fine. I can obfuscate with the best of them.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the rooms.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. There were one or two people that should have been joining our room and they just never joined. And I'll mention that maybe during, when we get back from a break, that when we go into breakout rooms, you have to accept a room.
All right, welcome back. Let's see, there we go. Now we pretty much got everybody. All right. So what I'll start, we ran a little bit long there, but we have a couple of minutes. I will be the scribe. I was the scribe for our group, and I'll quickly go through group one, and then we'll move to the other groups. And again, what we were looking for is describe your best president in terms of their leadership skills. Or if you were a fairly new person, what were you expecting? And in our group, some of the information that we got was we were their presidents that they thought were the best were those that made Rotary fun. Oh, I've heard that before. Fun and exciting. In fact, in one sense, it was so fun and exciting it became annoying. The other thing was supporting president that supported the group goals and what they wanted to do. Bob came up with a really good, I think, Governor Bob gave us an analogy of a ship's captain. Everyone has responsibilities on a ship. The captain's up there on the bridge, watching what's going on, motivating as needing, providing purpose, but assuming and encouraging people to do their job and do it well. But that requires good training and constant monitoring, and that's what the ship's captain does. The other thing we talked about was, providing guidance to motivate them. Providing guidance, get them motivated. Get rid of my timer there. And those are the things that we talked about. So I will go to group two. We have a spokesperson for group two.
That would be me.
Okay, go ahead, Bianca.
Okay, so couple of the things that we decided is there was a president that ended every meeting with a joke, which was kind of, interesting, but it kind of put everybody on a on a happy note as we were leaving and going on to our next thing. They involved others when they didn't just take charge and say, this is what we're doing. One of the big things was making a suggestion. Have you thought about, or what do you think about? And then just let somebody run with that and come back with ideas. And then a president that actually every meeting shared something about Rotary, just a basic fact or an event, or to define all these acronyms kind of thing. So that was meaningful.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Group 3.
Okay, I was just trying to organize it here. We talked about a variety of things, several related just to Rotary. Someone that's dedicated to the ideals of service and will teach others about Rotary, and also can engage the club in both international and community, that they're not one-dimensional. So there was kind of a Rotary focus. Then another kind of suite of topics related to, let's say, leadership, interpersonal concepts, bringing a lot of ideas, and bringing a lot of ideas also tied to engaging new people. And that ties to letting people know that they're an important part. That's how you lead. Related to that is delegation, and delegation to leverage the skills of everybody there. Also, a point on that was understanding when you need help and engaging those people. And certainly good personal communications was a key part of it.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. And our last group, group 4.
That's me. We were a very small group. We were equal with facilitators and participants. Both participants were relatively new. I am very new. So we shifted over, we were asked, well, what in our non-Rotary life do we appreciate with leaders? I came up with a leader that's transparent, that is motivational, but extremely transparent, and to keep the club members or employees up to date. We are changing from New Mexico State University, Carlsbad, to Southeast New Mexico College. And it is very important that our president, our leaders, keep us and the community involved and informed. My colleague is a young lady. She brought up a really good point that I haven't heard so far, is this cross-generational leadership. Because, the new generation, the millennials coming in, view things much different, or motivated by much different things than us old farts who are kind of stuck in the mud in a way in leadership style. Not stuck in the mud, but very set in our ways. So that's what we talked about versus what we've seen in our past leaders, since I have no past leaders.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Okay, well, thank everybody. I thank everybody for your input. When it boils down to, I think, leadership really involves communication, two-way communications, reacting. You listen to what your people have to say, and keep them informed about what's going on. And you'll be a good leader. All right. So with that, Jeff, I'm ready to pass it on to the next person for lesson 2.
Sounds good. And very quickly, so we're going to go down to 3 breakout groups rather than 4. There were a few people that when we went into breakout groups didn't join a group or didn't join the group that they were assigned to. So when we do the breakout groups, please go ahead and click on the button that gets you into your breakout room, but we'll go down to 3 going forward. Let's see. Dan, do you want to introduce Dick, or should we just do it?
Dan, you're muted. When everybody comes off of breaks, they're automatically muted.
Yeah.
past District Governor Dick Jones will be presenting my Rotary World. Dick?
Thank you, Dan. And I want to share a visualization of my Rotary World for just a minute. And I was thinking about it, and I think this is a really great word map of what my Rotary World looks like. And today we want to talk about what your Rotary World looks like. So if we could start, I would like to ask you why you joined Rotary. And if you could unmute yourself and just start jumping in and start sharing some of the reasons that you joined your Rotary Club.
Here, I'll jump in there. At first, I literally was to get out of the house, I would say, because it was, within the last year. But really, it was the concept of service above self. And, the ability to really engage myself and my family in projects and service, around our community.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak up?
I can jump in, I guess. And this is Donna. And I attended a conference in a town close to Taos called Espanola. And I happened to meet a Rotarian, and he was at the same conference, and it was for children literacy in the whole New Mexico state. And so I guess it was like-minded individuals that first attracted me, someone that cared about, the kids, the literacy in my town. So that's what started it all.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
I didn't have that big a heart. I had told the superintendent of schools that we needed to get involved in the community. And the next staff meeting, he says, Dan, you're joining the Rotary Club. And I joined the Rotary Club. And about 4 years later, I found out I was a Rotarian. So.
Oh. Monica, why did you join the Rotary?
Well, first, I wanted to already say the service, right? Because that's also then I saw what the Rotary is about. But the first motivation was I was new to the community. I knew that I wanted to help out in some way. And somebody told me that the Rotary is meeting every Wednesday. So that was my way of meeting people and then seeing what they're up to here.
District Governor Bob, why did you join Rotary?
Well, I joined Rotary because I was a financial advisor here in town, and I wanted to expand my circle of acquaintances and learn, meet more people in the community. That's why I joined, but I'm here for the service. I grew in service through the years, and that's why I'm here now.
Okay, would anyone else like to offer a comment?
I'll speak up. I joined first in Florida, and I was quite mercenary about it. I joined specifically because I worked as an executive for one of the Anheuser-Busch theme parks, and I was trying to generate business contacts to help promote profits for my business unit. I quickly stayed for the fellowship and the service aspect, and have continued in subsequent jobs where it's definitely more altruistic, but certainly I started it and was attracted to the opportunity of my bottom line.
Thank you.
Reg has his hand up, dude.
Reg, go ahead.
I've got a little bit different approach to it. I was directed to join Rotary by a federal judge when I was the commander of an installation in Michigan. His motive was that I get to know the town leadership. But what I discovered Rotary did for me was that I was able to make things happen in a larger scope. Leverage. An individual can be a very participant in their community, but Rotary multiplies that tenfold. And since I've gone, as you see, I volunteer for a number of duties in Rotary, and youth exchange has been one of my heart and soul things that I love to do, and among other things. But leverage is what it is.
Thank you, Reg. Tom?
Well, my background was that from the time I was in junior high, I had a teacher that walked up to me and said, "You're going to be in student council." I had no idea, but from then on, I was in organizations all the way through school and through my university days. And so when I came back to our area here to work, Rotary had helped me with a scholarship, and I knew their service, and I couldn't wait to join Rotary as an organization. But through the years, all from junior high on, I learned the value of serving.
Thank you, Tom. Hollis, would you like to say something?
Who?
Hollis?
Oh.
He's muted, but I saw.
Okay.
Hollis, if you want to speak up, unmute yourself.
John and Bruce have their hands raised.
I apologize. No, I was the person that said I joined Rotary first for business reasons, but stayed for service.
Okay, I just saw the little highlighter on the screen jump over to you, and I thought you might have wanted to add something. Bruce?
Yeah, I joined because I was invited. I happened to be at a business meeting when I was still on active duty in the Air Force, and a member of the Del Sol Club, I wish I could remember his name, he was a former wing commander, and I rented his house in the DC area when I was stationed there. Anyway, we happened to bump into each other at a meeting at the airport. And he said, "How would you like?" Says, "Would you like to be an honorary member of my club and tell us about what's going on? You know, just come in every so often and update us on what's happening out here at the air base." And I said, "Well, sure, I guess I could do that." Well, I gave my first presentation, and then that's all the information I got. And I had such a good time. I came back the next week, and then the week after that, and the week after that. And pretty soon, I came to all the meetings. I was selling tickets. I was having raffle tickets and things like that. Pretty soon, I was a full-fledged member of the team, even though I was only an honorary member. And when I finally retired from the Air Force, I said, "Is it okay if I stay on as an active member?" And they said, "Absolutely." And so that's how it happened.
Oh, great. Well, thanks everyone for sharing your stories. About 10 years ago, Rotary commissioned a public PR firm to do a survey, and the question was, why do you join Rotary? And at the time, they found that 36% of people joined Rotary because they wanted to have an impact on their community, and 30% joined because of friendship. There was an email sent out through Rotary last week, and in 2020, the community component has grown to 42%, and membership is still in second place at 38%. So I think that is important for us to remember as we serve as leaders in our club, is that most of the people are there for the community, but there's also the fellowship component, and that was certainly Paul Harris's reason for getting that group of 4 together, is he was trying to reestablish the camaraderie that he had growing up in his hometown. But I guess it was Bruce that said one of the most important things that I heard in the conversation is we have to invite. And to me, that is the biggest problem that we have with Rotary, is that we don't invite enough members. So be sure and keep that in mind. What benefits has your membership in Rotary provided you?
Lots of, oh,
Go ahead, Donna.
Well, immediately what came to mind is I know my community here in Taos so much better. They introduced me to so many different nonprofits, community things. Our speakers every week are phenomenal. And I just feel now like I'm part of the, totally part of the community. And I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah.
Great, thank you. Bianca?
lots of new friends. I'm a hugger, so I've got a whole new set of people to hug.
All right. Anyone else?
I would say opportunities to be engaged with the community with my kids. And so really being able to, like, you know, simple ways to go volunteer.
Okay, thank you.
Dick, I share Donna and Bianca's observation of so many more friends and understanding the community. But the other thing that Rotary has given me is I have met some absolutely amazing young people worldwide.
And I wanted to add that my Rotary helped me financially, actually, in putting up farmers market here. So I didn't, because I was so new, I didn't do it as any kind of entity, and I did it through the patronage of Rotary. So we did it together.
Great. Okay.
I would add a comment that it's just an opportunity to meet a variety of people. Red's talked about kids, so you meet. I've been a counselor at RLI. You meet kids there. You meet kids through the youth exchange. You meet and connect with people through Rotary friendship exchange, overseas activity. So I just think there's a huge opportunity to meet and get to know a lot of people that you have no other reason you'd meet.
Well, to me, it's the power of service. I mean, I've always wanted to do things just myself, but when you're with a group or when you're doing something that's district-wide or international, you actually see just what can be done when there's a lot of people, a lot of hands working on a project. And to me, it's just the power of service.
Thank you, John.
Dick, Dick, I wanted to just say that the statistics that you mentioned about why people join, what that tells me, and that has been looked at over time, is that people want to serve others with others. So you're coming for friendship, but you're coming for friendship in order to serve. And I think that that's kind of a key connection.
Thank you. It's interesting because that survey goes on and it asks why people join Rotary, but then the next question is, why do people stay in Rotary? And we actually find that the friendship actually grows and the friendship of Rotary becomes more important than the service, only by a point or two, but it does seem to indicate that once we get into this group, we value the membership. It's those people that we have the personal contact with and that opportunity to meet. After I served as district governor, I've had the role to work at several other levels of Rotary. And to me, it's just amazing that the value that I received as district governor was being able to go out and meet all the Rotarians within within New Mexico and West Texas. But that continues to grow as I get to meet Rotarians from all over the western third of the United States. So thank you for your observation, Hollis. Let me ask you a question. If someone were to come up to you and ask you what Rotary is, what would be your answer? A lot of times this is referred to as your elevator speech because you only have, let's say, 30 seconds to give them an answer. What would you tell them?
I need help, Dick. Can you help?
Well, I think you boil it down to what a meaningful story, a very short, meaningful story within your Rotary experience. And I would tell you that why I joined or why I continue to stay in Rotary is the opportunity to have more experiences like I did in Guatemala in 2017 when we went to a orphanage for young girls, and I sat and shared a cookie with a little girl that had been in the orphanage for 4 days. She had been taken from her parents off the street, and she was so scared, but she came over and sat next to me, and I shared a cookie with her. And after a minute, she reached into the little pocket on her vest and pulled out a cookie and shared her cookie with me. And that's why I'm in Rotary. And, you know, those stories can take all kinds of differences, but I think we need to be able to just put in a very, very few words this experience, because as we saw in that word map at the beginning, there is so much, and Rotary is such a complex organization that there's a lot that we could tell them. Jeff, I see you shaking your head. Do you have a story?
Well, I mean, your story was so powerful. I think I was just more in agreement that we each have our own stories, and it's that kind of personal touch is really important, you know, especially as we're trying to engage younger people. As we talked about in the first session, that kind of these personal testimonials are very powerful. So it's more of acknowledgement of how powerful your testimonial was.
Thanks. Thank you.
I can try to do the elevator speech because I'm a strategist actually. So I hope you will like that one. So for me, it's Rotary is an international club of volunteers that make a difference in their local communities.
Thank you. Very well said. Very well said.
Thank you.
And I think that makes a transition for us into the next question. What is the mission of Rotary? And we've heard most of these terms throughout the morning, but Rotary's mission statement really kind of brings them down to just a few well-spoken statements. And Rotary's mission statement is to provide service to others, to promote integrity, and to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through its fellowship of business, professional, and community leaders. And I think these are all points that we've talked about today, and are really are really a well worded statement. I want to try something here. So if you'll bear with me a little bit for our next exercise, I want to bring up this drawing or sketch here. And Rotary has 5 areas of focus. And our areas of focus are really what lead to the well-being and the foundation of our club activities. And I would like for each of you to maybe share what you think might be one of the areas that would be in our areas of focus here. And I'll start you out with club service. Why is club service considered an avenue of focus for us?
How should we understand club service?
Well,
that we're serving each other?
Serving each other and taking care of ourselves and taking care of our organization. So club service can really anchor what is the foundation of our Rotary Club. It's the structure of our club. It's the encouragement of building those relationships within our club, and the things that make our club function so well.
So Dick, aren't just the basic officer positions club service? The secretary, the treasurer, isn't that part of what
they are?
Service?
They are, but it would go deeper than that. It would be those things within our club that we don't think about as much. Who's responsible for lining up the person who gives the invocation if your club has an invocation each week? Who is the person for putting up all the banners and all the Rotary paraphernalia? Those are things that we quite frequently overlook because we do them every week, and they just happen. Who's responsible for getting our club programs? You know, if you go to a club meeting that has a really good club program, you remember it. If you go to a really good program or a club that has a really lousy program, that's the one you go home and talk about. Earl, do you have a comment?
Yes, and maybe I've got the wrong chair, but I think why club service is so an important focus for us is I really think it embodies what Rotary is about. And we've already heard it a couple times from different people. It's about serving our community in those projects that we can do to benefit other people.
Bianca?
I think that it starts at home. So it's a lot easier if we're involved at home and doing things in our own communities. I think then the transition to helping on a global scale is better.
Club service to me, Dick, is the simple things like the club getting together just for fellowship. You know,
And those
you could, it's like Bianca says, it's like, it's starting like at home. It's totally true because you're trying to create that glue. And I don't know, for some reason, I am also, when it comes to structure with MLMs, you know, those door-to-door are like the companies that are focusing first of the training their people, the invitation. So it's like kind of, we need to be connected and we need to be strong with the fundament to go up forward.
Okay, thank you. Well, you've all touched on the major avenues of service, but there's two that have been left out. And let's take another minute and see if we can identify those two other areas of service within our club. I'll give you a second and then I will ask Bianca or Reg to give us one of those avenues of service. And my selection should be a hint to you guys as to what an avenue of service that we've overlooked is. Bianca?
Our youth.
Our youth.
Training our youth about Rotary and about being of service and teaching them through RLI and through youth exchange some leadership skills, making them better people so they can take care of us.
Thank you.
Is that what you were looking for?
That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. And the other one is our vocational service. And a lot of times, particularly in today's Rotary, we kind of think of that as our forgotten avenue of service because Rotary no longer places the vocational restrictions on Rotary. When Tom and Dan and I joined Rotary, there was the restriction that you could only have one individual from each business and within the community. So there could only be one banker, one attorney, one camera shop owner, one dry cleaners. But over the years that has changed. But the fact that we are recruiting people from the business world to be part of the organization is really what Rotary is still all about, because it is based on those connections that we can establish through the business. And everything that we've said this morning is starting to paint this picture of the structure of Rotary and how really large and complex our organization is. And I would like to take a minute now and just kind of try to visualize some of that. And I'm going to try a new trick here to see if it will work.
Love a whiteboard.
And we've got a whiteboard here. So bear with me a little bit and let's see if we can get the whiteboard to work. And I'm going to start by putting a circle right here in the middle of the whiteboard. And that is going to represent you. And around that whiteboard, I'm going to put another circle that represents your club. And then we're going to put a third circle, which is going to represent the Rotary District. And who can tell me what a Rotary District is? Don't make me call on Tom.
Is it 1/3 of a region?
A district is the governing body of our group of clubs. And in our district, we have 68, 67 clubs, about 2,000 members. And it provides a lot of it is led by our district governor, Bob Roush, who is with us today. But Bob, what you've had, 4 months on the road now? How do
4
you,
months.
huh?
Yeah.
How do you envision our district?
Well, I see and you mentioned the governing body. I don't see, and I am the governor, so there is a governing body, but it's more of a support organization. There's some, in the corporate world, the larger corporation really directs the efforts of the branches, where in Rotary, the district is really to support all the clubs in their efforts to promote Rotary and to accomplish their missions. So we're really a supportive organization. We help manage the money. We provide training like we're doing today. So we're really a supportive organization as opposed to a managerial type of organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Any other observations? The Rotary District is really the first contact that we have above our club levels. And so, as Bob said, it is a resource that helps the clubs deal with issues that come up. There are many things many activities that a club participates in that they would not be able to do if it were not for the district. And our youth exchange program is a very good example. Can you imagine, and I'm talking about the good times when COVID hadn't placed restrictions on us, but can you imagine someone in Clovis, New Mexico, trying to set up a youth exchange program with a young student in Germany? What would be the first steps that club would have to do to deal with it? It would be almost an impossible task. So that's where the district would come in. How about if you wanted to provide a summer leadership camp for young men and women in your local high school? How are you going to bring the resources together to do that? Those are all things that the district does and provides for the club. How would you be able to attend a leadership institute if it weren't for the district's participation and Rotary Leadership Institute. All of these things are important features that a Rotary Club has to offer that they could not easily do on their own. We know that Bob is our district governor, but with 60 clubs, that's a large responsibility for him. What kind of support staff does Bob have in developing the clubs and reaching out to them?
Is that where the area governors come in?
Exactly, the assistant governors. And do you know how to get in touch with your assistant governor?
Look on the website to find their name and an email address.
All right, that's a good idea. Good suggestion. Anything else? What else will you find on the district website?
List of committees and other educational resources.
Okay.
Events.
Events. Very good.
Speakers.
Yeah.
Speakers. Ideas for membership development. Really, we're very lucky that we have a very robust line of communication within our district. But our district continues to, our district is just part of another group in Rotary that we hear less about, and that is our Rotary Zone. And because we're running short of time, I'll just give you a couple of, you can give me a spelling lesson, and I will tell you about zone. Really, what the zone is, it is a group of districts that are brought together to increase the level of support that the districts have. And so we have Rotary coordinators that help us work on membership. We have foundation people that can help us plan our major fundraising events and contribution. And then you're going to hear in another session about Rotary PR. And the zone sponsors and trains people to help us develop our Rotary image or our brand. And Arturo will speak to you about that in another session. But the most important feature of the Rotary Zone is it is our direct voice to the board of directors and to Rotary International, because all of our districts are grouped into zones. And there's typically about 40,000 Rotarians in each zone. And those zones are the ones that elect the directors to Rotary International. And it's those directors that vote on what is going to be the controlling factors in Rotary. They're the ones that set the direction and actually represent us. And there are 34 zones throughout the world, and those zones are paired up so that we have 17 directors. And it's those 17 directors that meet on a regular basis to set the guiding policies for Rotary International. And then, of course, the final circle in our ring is Rotary International, which is way out here. And we will spend a lot of time during this session learning about Rotary International. But I'm going to wrap it up there today and ask if there are any questions over the material that we've covered this morning that you would like to ask before I turn it back to Jeff. Thank you for your time and attention then, and I've enjoyed being with you today. Thank you.
Awesome job, Dick.
Thank you.
And any announcements before we take a break?
No, there, I do not have any.
Okay, so we will reconvene in 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and we will reconvene at 9:50.